Let's just jump right into today's explainer, because the source material we're looking at starts with a pretty wild confession. It goes exactly like this. I used to think ghost stories were fake, until I worked one overnight shift in a building where the office phone had been disconnected for 6 years. Now we're unpacking this incredible first-hand account from a security guard named Marcus. Back in 2022, he was working a night shift in downtown Cleveland, and what happened to him completely shattered his understanding of reality.
Okay, before we get into the really crazy stuff, you need to know one absolutely crucial fact about the phone at the center of this whole mystery. It had been completely, physically disconnected. We're talking no service, no dial tone, nothing, for exactly 6 years. Keep that 6-year mark in the back of your mind, all right? Because what happens next is logically impossible.
So let's dive into this. Marcus's job expectation was, well, pretty boring. Just walking empty hallways, checking locked doors, staring at security cameras until the sun came up. But the reality? That was the third floor. Everyone absolutely hated the third floor. Not because it was physically dangerous, but because it just felt wrong. You see, it used to be a private hospice clinic. So there were these abandoned, dusty hospital beds and old furniture sitting around that nobody ever bothered to move.
And there was this one really weird rule about the third floor. During his training, an older guard named Steve got super serious with Marcus about the nurse's station desk phone. He just looked at him dead in the eye and said, "If that phone rings, ignore it." Obviously, Marcus kind of laughed it off and asked why.
Steve didn't laugh back. He just flatly replied, "Because the line's dead." And then he immediately changed the subject. It wasn't a joke. The old phone had absolutely zero connection. Marcus honestly just forgot about the whole weird interaction. Well, at least until his third week on the job working totally alone.
Let's look at how the timeline of this specific night actually plays out, because the atmosphere is just classic horror movie. It's freezing cold, there's heavy rain pouring outside, and the power is flickering, like every hour. At 1:45 a.m., Marcus is doing his normal rounds when he notices the third floor hallway lights are mysteriously on. He knows for a fact he turned them off earlier. But, old building, bad wiring, right? He tries to brush it off. But the paranormal escalation here is rapid. By 2:13 a.m., that dead phone rings. And by 2:15 a.m., a door clicks open. Let's zero in on that 2:13 a.m. mark.
So Marcus walks toward the nurse's station to flip the lights back off, and he just freezes. Try to picture this suspenseful sequence. First, there's the phone, just sitting there on the front desk. Second, the little red voicemail light is blinking, slowly. Blink, blink, blink. And third, complete, absolute, dead silence in the building. He knows this phone is literally a paperweight. He'd even picked it up once before just out of sheer boredom, and it was completely dead.
And then, out of nowhere, ring. Just a loud, sharp, old-fashioned ringtone completely shattering the dead silence. Marcus said he nearly jumped right out of his skin. He's just standing there, totally paralyzed in shock.
Ring, ring, ring. Now every single horror movie survival instinct in this guy's body is screaming at him, do not touch it, just walk away. But honestly, what would you do? Curiosity completely wins out. He slowly reaches his hand out and picks up the receiver.
So the crucial point is what happens next. For about 5 full seconds, there is absolutely nothing, just pure static. And then a woman's voice whispers through the receiver, "Please, don't let him in." Marcus says his stomach basically hit the floor. He stammers out a hello, but there's no answer. Then, suddenly, the line just cuts. Just dead silence again. Now Marcus is standing there trying to process that his physical reality is basically glitching out, and then a cascading series of events triggers absolute panic. He hears a door close, somewhere down the hallway. Slowly. Click. He turns around, but every single patient room is pitch black. He grabs his security radio, but it's completely dead too. Just pure static. At this point, he's like, nope, I'm out of here, and heads straight for the stairs. But as he's walking, he hears footsteps coming up right behind him. Slow, dragging footsteps, almost like someone walking in socks. He spins around instantly, right? But there is nobody there. However, the hallway structure itself has fundamentally changed. Marcus notes with absolute 100% certainty that just 30 seconds ago, one of those patient doors was closed and swallowed in complete darkness. But now, that exact same door is standing wide open. And inside, there's this dim yellow light glowing, almost like someone is just sitting in there waiting. Now, Marcus fully admits he should have just kept walking to the stairs, but instead he actually walks toward the glowing room.
It's totally abandoned inside. There's dust covering the old bed and this broken chair. But sitting right smack in the middle of the dusty bed is a patient file. And it is perfectly clean, not a single speck of dust on it, like it had literally just been placed there. He looks at it, and it reads, Rebecca M. Harper. Date of death, October 17th, 2016. Cause of death, unknown.
Okay, so he's standing there, staring at this impossible, pristine file in a totally abandoned room. And then the tension just completely snaps, because the phone rings again, right behind him, except remember, there is no phone in this room. As that phantom ring is echoing in the room, a second whisper comes, but it's not through a receiver this time. A voice whispers directly beside his actual ear, "He's here." Marcus doesn't just casually leave the room. He breaks into a full-blown absolute sprint down 3 flights of stairs. He literally doesn't stop running until he hits the safety of the lobby, and he just sits there, physically shaking until the sun finally comes up.
The morning revelation, the truth about room 3. Let's move to and see how this builds in the light of day. So, the morning manager finally arrives, and Marcus just spills everything. And the manager goes completely, visibly pale. He looks at Marcus and just asks, "What room?" Marcus tells him. There's this incredibly long silence, and then the manager drops this heavy, terrifying confirmation. He says, Rebecca died in that room. Boom. Marcus wasn't losing his mind. He had literally just interacted with a ghost. The manager then lays out the hospice lore, and it structurally explains everything, perfectly aligning with what just happened. Apparently, before she passed away, Rebecca had repeatedly complained that a strange man kept entering her room at night. But whenever they checked the security footage, it showed absolutely no one. And the wildest part of the whole thing? After she died, multiple workers reported the exact same phenomenon Marcus experienced, the dead phone on the 3rd floor ringing in the dead of night, even though the building had disconnected the line literally years ago.
Unsurprisingly, Marcus quit 2 weeks later. He never stepped foot in that building again. And according to his account, to this very day, whenever he hears an old office phone ring late at night, he gets full body chills. Because as this explainer shows, sometimes you answer a call that was never, ever meant for the living.
So, I gotta ask you guys, would you have answered that phone? Drop a comment below with your survival strategies, because I'd love to read them. And make sure to hit that subscribe button for more of these true-style creepy explainers that'll definitely have you double-checking your locks tonight. Because as we just saw, some night shifts don't really end when the sun comes up. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one.